Wow, I'm surprised the police haven't kicked down the doors and arrested the parents who I've said it before, and I'm gonna say it again. Children should not be given smartphones. And apparently, these parents seem to get it. From the Washington Post, parents are discovering the secret to keeping kids off smartphones. That's a weird way to say just using our willpower to not give in to societal and peer pressure. But before we find out what this newfangled secret is, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe for daily videos, and comment your thoughts along the way. This is an opinion piece by Claire Morel, who's a fellow at the Ethics and Public Policy Center and author of The Tech Exit, a practical guide to freeing kids and teens from smartphones. It's hardly a shocking idea among parents that smartphones and social media have been highly detrimental to kids. Many families fear they are driving a crisis of loneliness, anxiety, and depression among teens, along with more severe outcomes including self-deletion from, uh, I can't think of a euphemism for that word, eating disorders, from dangerous dieting advice, and deepfake spicy content and other inappropriate content online. Books warning about these trends have dominated bestseller lists and encouraged new policies limiting phones in school. So that's the kind of books that I should have been writing instead of the ones behind me. The three that are prominently featured, that is. Yet it remains extremely difficult for concerned parents to stand against the strong current of screens into childhood. Giving a smartphone to a teen feels like an inevitability. All their friends have them. Schools and extracurricular activities require certain apps. No parent wants their child to be ostracized or disadvantaged. They worry about reaching them in emergencies. Two words for you: dumb phone. Literally $30 at Best Buy. You can get them a flip phone that can do exactly that. I speak from experience. It's what I had from the ages 12 all the way to 19. Yes, I was a full year and a half into adulthood before I got my very first smartphone. And I am Gen Z. Okay, granted, I had an iPod Touch. That was basically a microscopic iPad. But I digress. Individually, parents feel helpless to resist, but this is a collective action problem and it requires a collective solution. It is possible to beat the digital tech crisis by creating counter communities that resist screens together, and not just by keeping them out of school, but by delaying or foregoing their use entirely. I'd say that foregoing the use of any and all screens entirely is a little excessive. My thing is more about internet access. True, limiting screen time for children is still a good idea. As a former child myself who enjoyed using screens, who is now an adult, I can respect the line of reasoning, especially with the garbage that they would have to that they can risk stumbling across. Even in the more filtered things like YouTube Kids. Honestly, virtual worlds like from that video I showed you in the past. Who am I kidding? No one watched that one. For my book, The Tech Exit, I spoke with dozens of families that have deliberately kept their kids from using smartphones, social media, tablets, and video games. Contrary to what you might think, and if I'm being honest, what I expected, their children aren't isolated, odd, or antisocial. These are normal families who have strong relationships with their kids. Their kids aren't resentful of being deprived of smartphones and social media. Their grown children are thankful for the technology restrictions they had during childhood. I mean, me personally, I am grateful that I wasn't given free range to just play video games 24/7 when I was younger. Though I have to say, not even allowing video games, that's a little extreme in my opinion. Sure, yeah, they should not be allowed to play video games all the time. But smartphones, social media, and tablets, I think are all within reason. Video games, you gotta, I'd say single player games should be allowed. That being said, maybe it is more beneficial. But as someone who grew up playing video games, which were moderated by my parents, meaning, again, I could not just play video games 24/7. I literally could not play my home consoles basically when the sun was out, or even if it was, or any time before sunset. Today, I am free to basically do it the way I want to. I choose instead to use all that screen time to do this. What these families had in common was that they were not alone. They sought out other families who shared similar values and a desire to give their children an embodied, real world childhood free of screens. So that's the secret. Community. Having a community of other parents who are on the same page as you, and having other kids for your kids to socialize with the old fashioned way, which honestly makes a lot of sense. Sometimes this happens naturally. I visited one suburban neighborhood in the Washington area that looked like something out of the 1970s. Kids playing outside, riding bikes to one another's houses, building forts, even arguing on the front lawn and working through conflicts themselves. No parents in sight. Best of all, no devices in sight. Wow, I'm surprised the police haven't kicked down the doors and arrested the parents who were not supervising their children like that. But no, it's a comp. No, it's not a compound for some cult. It all started from a conversation one mom had with her neighbor who shared her own family's thinking around technology. Their kids started playing outside together, while the parents acted as friends and allies in keeping their children on a technology diet. Soon, other parents and kids joined in, attracted by the sounds and sights of children running, throwing balls, squealing, and laughing together. That's all it took to shift the momentum on the street away from screens. Well, it's nice to know that's going on out there. I mean, I know it's going on because I'm trying to phrase this so I don't give away too many details about where I live, but suffice it to say, when I look outside, I do occasionally see children playing outside, especially at this time of year where the weather's a lot nicer. Believe it or not, it does still happen, just not as often. Not to the extent of when the boomers were kids. They had basically the entire neighborhood was full of people their age or within their age group. Gerber Johnson talks a lot more about it in better detail than I am giving it in right now, but suffice it to say, it still happens, just not all that often. It's not realistic to assume every family on your street will have the same views, of course. Other parents I spoke with found like minded parents through their school. You can email other parents in your child's class. Invite them over to your home. Start a conversation. Discuss approaches to technology that match your needs. Many families I met gave their children non smartphones that allowed them to call and text without an internet browser, social media, or apps to distract them. Hey, just like me back in the day. Again, granted, I had an iPod Touch and a 3DS, so I didn't grow up completely technology free or limited to a dumb phone and nothing but a dumb phone, but I couldn't access the internet literally anywhere I can get a cell signal. So there's that. The one common denominator in all these tech exit families is they start by rejecting the premise of the inevitability of smartphones and build their own plans from there. Organizing even a small group of families in contact and committed to setting limits on screens accomplishes multiple goals. In addition to providing a steady source of playdates and alternative activities for the children themselves, they can offer moral support, encourage accountability, and help to troubleshoot problems that come up. Well, I guess that's the secret right there. We don't need to read any more. Community, everyone being on the same page. Problem solved. Now let's finish the article anyway. Importantly, a coordinated group of families can better advocate for themselves when institutions wrongly assume participants are universally smartphone adoptees. Increasingly, apps are being imposed as a prerequisite for participating in more and more aspects of our children's lives, from school assemblies to sports activities. Wait, how are apps being used for school assemblies? Anyone who is a teacher who can vouch for any of this, please let me know in the comments down below. Because I can tell you right now, class of 2015, high school class of 2015 here, that never happened. But once the commitment to reject the inevitability of these technologies is decided, the answer to these challenges becomes quite simple. Find workarounds. If these parents are told an app is required for a school assignment or child's activity, they don't accept it. They talk to teachers or coaches to find another option. They push back. And every parent that pushes back makes it easier for the next parent. Homeschooling is also an option. Just saying. I mean, I know your tax dollars are going towards the public schools no matter what. But that being said, they're there as an option to fulfill the mandate to have your children educated. The end result of these parents' initiative and intentionality to create counter communities is that their children are flourishing. They are not self absorbed in the virtual world, but directed towards relationships, responsibilities, and service to others. Only by building rich, meaningful, real world communities that can compete with the allure of digital ones can parents push the smartphone out of childhood. Except at a certain point. They won't be able to compete because the allure will be too much. And hey, when they're 18, what are you going to do? I mean, you can always make it a little harder by not giving them a smartphone for their 18th birthday. Although, quite frankly, with how useful smartphones are as a tool, in my opinion, I still think adults should be allowed to use them. I mean, I'm recording this on a smartphone right now. So, obviously, I think they're very useful. The problem is that everyone seems to forget that they are a tool in the toolbox. I've said it before in previous videos, but I'm going to say it again. There are printout options for a great many QR codes. You have a laptop or a desktop computer, you can literally print out what you need. Like my grandparents with their boarding passes, because my grandmother did not have a smartphone until last December when I gave her an old iPhone of mine so that she could unlock the hearing aid feature of her AirPods. And my grandfather, he can't even use a touchscreen with his fingers. They just don't play well with each other. So yeah, it may become more mandatory in the distant future where it's hopefully we have a better sense of control on all of that, or we're able to integrate it more naturally, like the architecture of the elven places in Lord of the Rings. For those of you who don't know, in Lord of the Rings, basically all the elf architecture, if you watch the movies, they're literally designed to work with nature instead of just clearing a space for it. So maybe we'll figure out something like that. Or maybe we'll decide smartphones are for when you become an adult. And they are useful as tools in the toolbox. And again, because you are an adult, you can better moderate your usage of it. So on that note, I'm going to leave it here for the video. Give it a like if you enjoyed it. Comment what you think about all this. Subscribe for daily videos, and I'll see you soon.